Todd, the stepfather tells me that despite major crimes being involved, he's been told that this investigation is being treated as a missing persons case.
You wish.
He also insists that he's been cooperating with the police, including providing a polygraph test, which he did, and he says he passed.
He didn't say he passed. He says it was good in his favor. There's a big difference. He did not directly come out and say, I passed. Don't take the media too seriously. They're trying to get their viewers, and their emphasis is not on necessarily detail. Their emphasis on keeping the story going. Just like yesterday. In my video yesterday, the news report started, they wandered off. No, they did not. Knowing what I know now, I often revisit older cases, and a prime example is John Benet Ramsey, and I'm in shock just how ill-informed I was, how misinformed and disinformed I actually was. When you listen to infotainment, and we all do or did at one point, you are guaranteed to be misled. You are guaranteed to consider something a mystery. It's very easy to come up with a term like mystery and say, oh, it's a mystery, and immediately put it into that box like, I don't think we'll ever figure it out. I have no clue, and you have no clue either. No, the misinformation and the disinformation is the enemy of any investigation.
You mentioned last time we chatted that you'd offered to do a polygraph test.
That is correct.
Has that already happened?
That has happened.
Right. And did you get results from that yet?
I do have results, and I don't know if I can share those results, but they were good in my favor.
Okay. Here it is about the polygraph.
That has happened.
Right.
That has happened. That sounds like a reliable statement. That was pure confidence. That has happened.
And did you get results from that yet?
I do have results.
I do have results. He didn't say I did get. Let me see what exactly she asked.
Did you get results from that yet?
I would say, yes, I did.
I do have results.
I do have results.
And I don't know if I can share those results, but they were good in my favor.
But they were good in my favor. That's the only concern. Good in his favor. Not the children's favor. This is supposed to be a stepping stone. You rule out anybody that was in the house, family members, and so on. That's what they do. Statistically speaking, the people to look at for law enforcement are the ones who are in the house with the missing people, the people who are now missing. So ruling out anybody in that house is priority. This is the first thing that they do. Even if they don't want to do it, even if they say, the police from their experience say, no, these parents or this uncle or grandmother or none of them had anything to, no, we know already, but still they need to be ruled out. But again, you need to have a qualified polygrapher. He has to be the one. The pre-interview is very, very important because you have to get used to the language. If I administer the polygraph examination, would make sure I go through every single statement of his to understand his language, to see what he's avoiding, to see how he avoids something, how he avoids being direct, and what type of language he uses to weasel himself out, in my opinion. And I would come up with the questions that I think he make it impossible for him to, weasel his way out. Christopher Proudfoot talked about, a polygraph. It's an open cheat test, and you can just change your questions and make the questions. Yeah, exactly. If you have a crappy polygrapher, he lets you tweak everything. And a prime example that Peter Hyatt always used was Bill Clinton, when he said, "I did not have with that woman," because what happened he may not consider to be You know what I mean? Because in his language, that is no big deal what happened. So you need to ask very specific questions. Like, do you know more about this case than you have told us? Do you know what happened to Jack and Lilly? Did you remove Jack and Lilly from your home? Specific questions like that. I would be very interested in not only, it doesn't matter to me just to hear somebody passed. What matters to me the most is what were the questions that were asked. That is the most important thing. And Jack DeMarco, right, that was his name, he asked the same thing twice, different wording, to make sure they cannot weasel their way out. Like, did you kill your wife? Did you take your wife's life? Like, two questions like that. The most important ones. Do you know where your wife is? It's twice basically the same exact question. And that is important because of exactly what Chris Proudfoot once told us. Chris Proudfoot said to us, you can change the wording, and that is the key. That is absolutely the key. So to me, not only is this inadmissible in court, I have to, when I hear somebody took a polygraph and passed, which he doesn't even say, he cannot allow him, he is unable to say, I passed the polygraph. Let's make this very, very clear. And good in my favor, well, if you're guilty of something and it comes back inconclusive, that would be good in your favor, right? That would be a lot better than revealing what actually happened. And by the way, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. This is the process here. And I also want to read another one. Julia, you just sent this to me, and it's a very, very good one. And he says, they just want to rule everything out before they switch concerns from being, search and rescue to abduction. Is this guy serious? Let me see this real quick. Can you see this? They just want to rule everything out before they switch concerns from being, search and rescue to abduction. When somebody says, that already is a flag, but there are many flags that can turn out to be explainable in other ways. So you cannot say, this is a red flag, this is a red flag, okay, he must have done it. No, there are different reasons. We have to examine these red flags. And at the end, when too many of them come together and they point into the same direction, then this direction is worth following. So what he's telling us is that before you consider an abduction, you first need to spend 4 weeks searching the forest, being busy near his house, doing whatever isn't really fruitful, just in order to say, wow, okay, so maybe the kids were taken. So it's been over a month, right? Almost a month. So, yep, we had to make sure they get away with it. And no, it doesn't work like this, dude. And that is dreaming with open eyes, because you are now digging yourself deeper, Daniel. You are. And things will narrow in on him, I believe. And I believe if he's going to keep talking, and he cannot keep himself from talking. And the crazy thing is that, Daniel, listen, if somebody knows Daniel, please send him my video. Oh my God, not this one, the one before with the whiteboard. Daniel is a little bit backwards and backwards. He doesn't understand that. He thinks that the more you talk, the more it will just work its way out. I couldn't be talking, I couldn't be guilty of anything, right? Because I'm talking that much. I would be hiding if no. But first of all, that is his natural response. And a lot of people are like that. The guiltier they are, the more they talk. And you will realize that also in police interviews, or just when police stops people, that sometimes the guilty one is just hiding and saying nothing. But other times, the one who talks the most is the person who is the guiltiest. And they can't shut up because they cannot stand having a spotlight on them. And they're trying to control a narrative, and they're trying to mislead you. But they don't realize how powerful statement analysis actually is, and how it is just like putting a microscope there, zooming in on him, on his every words. So I don't know if Malaya lawyered up. I have no idea. And again, I don't trust these channels that make these claims. And if it makes its way to me, or goes further than just that one channel, unless it's state-run mainstream news, I ignore it. I see all of these channels making up so many different things. So I don't know if they have a conversation with the grandmother. If any of you has some specifics here about a YouTuber who supposedly had a conversation with the grandmother, then please send me exact statements. Please do that, because I'm getting a lot of messages from a lot of you guys. And in order for me to prioritize, it's always great to have in the title, a statement by grandmother. Give me the statement. If it hits me, I will go there immediately, and possibly the timestamp of the video. If it's a 3-hour video and, somebody tells me, okay, here, she's talking to the grandmother. Oh, wow. And I click on the video, and it's like, oh my God, when does this introduction ever end? What the hell? No. I don't think, it is when somebody is so long-winded, it is much more likely there's nothing of importance. And so I'm asking you guys, I thank you so much for sending things my way, but please let me know what I'm looking for. Because many times I spend 20, 30 minutes on something, trying to find something, and then I realize, no, I should have not even gotten into that. So the people that have something to offer usually get right to the point. But of course, also Mob Crew and other people do it. And Mob Crew, that's where I saw the video of Katie Proudfoot driving around with her window up, right? She's supposed to be yelling Sebastian's name, but she's driving real fast through the neighborhood with the windows up. supposedly searching for a missing son. I saw it there, but it wasn't until probably I knew what to look for immediately. I went there, but it was the 1 hour mark. So I understand that they don't just want to have a 5-minute video showing you what is important. They want to talk about it first. They want to get the community going, and so on and so such. So please make sure that you give me a timestamp, and if you tell me already in the title what I can expect, that is very useful. And I say it all the time. When you understand statement analysis, and as you will learn statement analysis, you will be able to sort and prioritize very intuitively, very quickly. Because even when you, let's say, have 20 or 30 business emails, you will be able to get straight to the most important ones and put the others on the back burner. You will understand who's trying to feel you out, who's ready to buy, who is on your side, who's loyal to you. You will understand immediately things that normally take a lot of time. So this is not just deception detection, this is also intention detection. In statement analysis, we learn exactly who people are and who we are to them.
We'll say that.
On paper, Daniel Martell did all the right things.
No.
He gave interviews, handed over his phone, sat for hours of questioning with major crimes detectives, and told the world repeatedly that he had nothing to hide. He even claimed to have taken and passed a polygraph test. But in high-profile disappearances, especially those involving young children, doing the right thing isn't always what it seems. The first red flag came not from what Daniel did, but from what no one else confirmed. While he told reporters that he had passed a lie detector test, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the very agency leading the investigation, refused to say a word about it. No public statement. No independent.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. What is their regular style? Do they repeat? Do they tell people?
Verification, no formal documentation, and in cases like this, silence can be deafening. It raised an uncomfortable question. Was this test ever conducted by law enforcement at all? Or did Daniel, in a calculated move, hire a private firm, collect a favorable result,
No.
and present it to the world?
You know what? This is the one thing, of course it's possible, but I don't think he is that type of person to take all of these steps. And I don't think he is the type of person, people. And I'm saying it because his strategy is complete cooperation, or rather the illusion of complete cooperation. Meaning he's not, I don't think he is the type who would hire a private firm. I don't know how much money he has either. So you would expect him to struggle a lot, but other people have, claimed, these guys, they got money, they're doing all right financially, but how? With only 1 day of work every week. So that is, I don't know. I have my thoughts, but I don't know.
World as if it carried official weight. The RCMP's refusal to confirm the test only.
And exactly, I mean, he never said directly, I passed it. He said it's good in his favor. Disregard people. If they don't give you an accurate statement, a reliable statement saying, I passed the polygraph, do not assume. It could mean there could be different reasons that no. Disregard this. Don't put words into their mouths. Do not say, he said he passed the polygraph. No, he didn't say that. The results. I have results. I have them. What are your results, at least in your own mind? Well, good in his favor. What is good in his favor? And why wouldn't he be allowed to tell everybody that he passed the polygraph? No, I don't buy that, because he is so adamant to look 100% guilt-free. 100% guilt-free. My thought is that he is the type of person who would scream it from the rooftop. I passed. I passed. If they told him, wow, here are your results, dude, check it out. And they usually do that. They say, okay, this one is a control question, and see how it's doing this when, you told us a lie in the control question. And it's usually something like, is your name Daniel? Yes. No reaction, no lie, right? Because they pick up your physical reaction to having just told a lie. And okay, nothing here. And they'll tell you, and maybe it's Thursday, and they'll say, is it Friday? Is today Friday? And they tell you to say yes, yes. And then they get a reaction from you, how your body reacts when you actually tell a lie. So normally, at the end of the polygraph, I mean, maybe they don't, I don't know, but I would expect them to say, he's probably the type of person who would say immediately, like, how I do, dude? How I do? Come on, man. Come on, let me see this. And I would think that maybe they will take a few minutes to say, look, okay, here, look, everything is pretty flatlined. There is no indication of you having lied. Or look at this one. Doesn't look good to me, but it's not big enough to be conclusive. So I don't know. There is a million things that could be considered in his favor. And again, if you are guilty of something and the polygraph examination comes back as inconclusive, meaning there is a variation in one specific question or more than one question where you have a fluctuation, but it is not high enough for you to determine that was a lie. But the machine picks up and indicates, well, this is a sensitive question right here. And I don't think he was 100% honest with us. And then he asked, well, does it mean I'm guilty or not? No, we cannot say that. Oh, wow. That's in my favor now. In my favor is relative, and it depends on your position, on how you see yourself in the scheme of things. Are you a participant? Remember his statement, I 100% did not. That indicates that he had something to do with it, but he was not 100% responsible. I will hold that to my last day on this planet. I'll be fighting for the rest of my life for these kids. What does it mean to fight? How about searching? But he is in fighting mode. Everything he's doing is in fighting mode. He wants to be seen as a fighter. That is very important for him. As I have said, he is the type of person that needs to be seen doing something to keep from looking at his face. Remember when he was doing the fake crying, he keeps looking up like, how am I doing? How am I doing? He doesn't want to stand still and be seen. He wants to be seen constantly on the move, because to him, that is the only way to portray himself, or try to portray himself as somebody who's actively searching.
Only deepened the suspicion. After all, if Daniel was innocent, if the polygraph was legitimate and conducted under proper oversight,
Yeah.
why not release the results?
Yep.
Why not silence the critics with proof? Unless, of course, the point was never about truth. It was about time, about buying days, weeks, even months of public sympathy before the cracks started to widen. Because here's the unsettling truth. Lie detectors aren't foolproof.
So basically, this is, oh my God, these
Aren't foolproof. Ted Bundy passed one. So did other notorious killers.
well, each of them charming, I guess. No, I still feel some energy from this dude. I don't understand why women think he is so hot. I really don't. I don't understand why, especially when I see him here. I pick up on energies very easily, and many of you do as well. And no, picking up on somebody's energy has nothing to do with criminal. Well, it does indirectly to me. It helps me zoom in on certain individuals. And I'm always encouraging all of you, take the proper steps in statement analysis. Understand all the rules. Understand all the possibilities. But allow your mind to go somewhere where there's an indication of something. And before I forget, Daniel and the polygraph, the way he has shown us his priority being, I want to seem innocent. I do not buy that he's being cryptic if he actually passed with flying colors, like Chris Pratford would say. I would say that he he is the type of person who wouldn't even wait for the question to come up. But maybe he told the reporter, hey, ask me about the polygraph. I got something to say. So I passed the polygraph. I would say that I passed the polygraph because the polygraph examination is done to rule out suspicion so we can go full speed ahead into the right direction. That's why I would go on there and say, it depends. Okay, of course it depends on the suspicion. If there's suspicion on me or not. If there wasn't a lot of suspicion or no suspicion, I may not even talk about it because I would see everything headed in the right direction anyways, and people looking in the neighborhoods. Maybe, the kid is there. Maybe the missing person is here or there because they wouldn't zoom in on me. But if I thought they're zooming in on me and the whole world thinks I had something to do with it and nobody is looking for the person that's missing, then I would probably say, I passed the polygraph examination. So please help me search for my children. That's what I would say, people. But that's not what he is saying. He's talking only about his own personal favor. He is not talking about what is so great about passing a polygraph, and what is so great is that considering it is all accurate and everything, here you have in writing that we may assume you are not worth paying attention to, and now we can go full speed ahead and look in the right direction, people. But that's not where he's going with that. What else can I do? What else can I do to make you think I had nothing to do with it? That's his only concern. And Ted Bundy, by the way, is a true sociopath. And I'm not going to go back to explaining all of the detail. Katie Proudfoot is a sociopath. Casey Anthony, O.J. Simpson, Charles Manson, big time. It has nothing to do with psychopathy. It has nothing to do with crazy. It has nothing to do with that. It's not a bad word. It's not a swear word to me, you sociopath. No. He is forget narcissist, psychopath, all these words that constantly get thrown around. Sociopath does it well. But understanding sociopathy is key here, and it is much easier for a sociopath to convince himself of a false reality, and with that be able to pass a polygraph. I believe a lot of people have passed a polygraph examination that were actually guilty. And there were a few cases that I have looked into where somebody failed the polygraph. However, I didn't know what the exact questions were. But maybe a lot of nervousness due to having failed a lot as a parent and feeling responsible one way or the other. That maybe due to extreme neglect, that her daughter walked off and wound up allowing herself to be lured in by a stranger because she wanted to escape her crazy mother. These types of situations can exist that can have an impact and actually make you feel like you're guilty, which you should to an extent. And they might indicate that you are guilty and had something to do with the disappearance of your child, or the kidnapping, or the killing in those cases, even though technically you didn't, but you feel so responsible. And not just that you feel responsible, you want to hide that feeling of responsibility. You don't want to admit to it because you are scared of the general public. All of these can contribute to altering the results of a polygraph examination. It wasn't until recently that one of you actually let me know about Ted Bundy having passed the polygraph, and I was not at all surprised. Even on my website, I had him as one of, I think, 7 different people who are actually sociopaths. And the one that came to mind also was Drew Peterson. And it wasn't until I started learning about sociopathy and what it truly is that I revisited this case, which is now how long? I don't know. Has it been 20 years? Or I can't keep track. I'm looking at so many different cases. Maybe 10, 15, right? Drew Peterson, the police officer, and all his wives wound up being killed. But he went on Larry King. Yeah, it must have been a while if it was on Larry King, right? It must have been like 20 years. So he was on Larry King and he went on interview after interview. He was smirking. A sociopath is so used to being able to get away with lies, they cannot admit to it because their whole pattern of life is based on lies. So the exposure or being shown, being exposed, having their patterns exposed is something they are terrified of. And it shows up in their language. The only difference in the case of Ted Bundy was he did eventually, shortly before his execution, or not that long before, I think it was the last interview before his execution, he admitted to the murders, at least some of them. And as was later reported, he was absolutely terrified of the execution. When it came, he was the night before, he was crying, he was screaming, he was begging. He clung on to hope that maybe the phone call from the governor would come in and another stay of execution. I think that's what it was. I think that the reason he had nothing to lose, because he had absolutely nothing to lose and was terrified, he didn't mind admitting and saying, okay, dudes, I did it, but now I'm sorry. Now don't kill me, please. Except one case he refused to talk about, and that was the case of the one girl that was underage, because he knew that if people think about this one, there is no chance there'll be a stay of execution. 0 chance. So there was a strategy behind it. Otherwise, a sociopath is not going to admit and reveal its pattern, period. Sociopathy, I could talk more about it, but I would have to go into different areas. And one of my websites, I have been a part of a scientific study a long time ago, 10 years ago, with the Charles University of Prague, in Prague. And it was more health related, but, well, some of you know. that study. Sociopathy came to me, so to speak, in terms of revealing itself what it truly is. And it's a real thing. And sociopathy cannot be healed, by the way. So a lot of people focus on narcissist, blah, 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 or psychopath. No, it has nothing to do with it. Sociopathy is an actual condition, people, an actual condition. And Drew Peterson, it didn't matter to him that the whole world suspected him. He continued as if nothing happened. Casey Anthony, now she wants to be an advocate for LGBT. She's acting as if nothing happened. There's a complete disregard for society, because society didn't help them when they were children and going through hell many times. So they develop an attitude and an ability to fool the public, and they think everybody is too stupid to see through them, which in many cases is correct, but not everybody is too stupid. But this is a pattern they develop. I could see through Ted Bundy. I could see through all of them. But not everybody can, and many of you can. As a matter of fact, among you, the percentage of those who can intuitively do so is way higher than in the general population. That's why you are drawn to true crime, but you need to stick with it. Your intuition can also be distorted if you listen to the wrong channels and the wrong people, because then, same like with me, when I listen too much to the claims about the drug party. Get the hell out of here. What channel was that? I forgot this. The Lab. No. You do your 3-hour videos, your blah, blah, blah. You have Chris McDonough on there, great. But Chris McDonough, as I've said, he's great for interviews. But anything else, no. Don't pay attention to him. Do what you want. But if you want... One moment. You know what? I don't care. Interruptions are cool. If you really are interested in solving a case, do not jump from channel to channel to channel to channel unless there is a good track record and real presentation of reasoning why somebody thinks about certain lines. Because if you have a misleading title, and even Betty with her remains found, I was, you know what, I'm shocked that I'm not shocked. Let's say it like this. Remains found with a picture of Jack and Lilly. Yeah, of course, that's what these people are all about. So if you don't feel good about somebody, don't check their channel ever until you feel that there is green light, just because people will tell you, check out, I think they have new information. That's why I make these statements right now. If you guys want to help me, and many of you do, please give me the specific statement in the title, in the subject title of the email, so I can see if I have already gotten this statement from somebody else, if I've already examined it, so I don't do it twice. Give me a timestamp alongside the video link or the article link. Julia has sent me a lot of articles, and the best of the best articles, the most useful ones. Because while most people listen to a lot of these channels just because they have nothing else to do, some of you are listening with a purpose, which is very hard. I don't know if I could do it. I don't think I would be able to suffer through it and then still be alert enough to recognize. Maybe I would be, but I wouldn't be able to suffer through that. I would not be able to. So, of course, and then in the body of email body, right? Within the content of the email, you can tell me what stands out to you, why it stands out to you. What else was there? Absolutely. But please don't tell me, okay, here's a channel and you should listen to this channel. What the hell are you talking about? Why? So I'm saying that also as a useful tool for all of you. Allow yourself to filter your life. be able to prioritize. Do not waste time. And especially do not waste time on people who waste your time. And as I have pointed out before, there were false sightings. Even now, people are taking, if you're a 15-year-old, if you're if you're a teenage boy with glasses in the state of Tennessee, oh my God, be ready to have your picture taken and plastered all over the internet. Because everybody wants to be a hero and find Sebastian, right? Not because they care about him, they want to be in the limelight. Just like this one woman who made the claim she saw him. And she was not only insulted when they told her that's not Sebastian, she continued the claim. I have analyzed the statements to show you how easily you can tell when somebody's full of shit. Yeah, I said it. Shut up. So you can tell it very easily, but most people, they are rather getting confused. And by getting confused, I mean, did she see him? What if she saw him? What if no? You see, with statement analysis, you will filter right through it and be disregard. But what disregard? I will treat it as if it didn't happen. And that's how you should treat anything that is not going to be useful for your ability to solve a criminal case.
Each of them charming, articulate, and adept at gaming the system. Polygraphs measure physiological responses, not morality.
Right.
And the best liars don't break a sweat when they tell a lie, because in their minds, it's not a lie at all. If that was the...
If you think Ted Bundy... Oh, yeah, by the way, 90% of my listeners are female, I think. I think that's what YouTube... Actually, it shifts. It shifted towards that from a couple of years ago where it was different. So, 90+% are female. If you think Ted Bundy is hot, press 1. If you think he is not, press 2.
strategy, it worked, at least temporarily.
I want to understand the mind of everybody. Not everybody personally and particularly, but the general mind of the population, because apparently, Netflix was... There's a reason why the Ted Bundy story... There are many reasons, by the way, why the Ted Bundy story has become and stayed so popular, but I read it all the time. Oh my God, he was so handsome. I don't know, man, because the one thing also, when I talk about sociopathy, I always go back to the childhood and I look at the childhood pictures. And something about his childhood pictures, I couldn't even look at them anymore. I felt like there was such a horrible... I think he went through hell in his childhood, and it was so bad he cannot even talk about it or hint at it. And he wants to make it look normal because it is too... That's when I think he was a highly sensitive child who went through hell and sort of focused his disrespect, anger, whatever there was towards society as a whole. Kind of like getting revenge from a society that didn't help him at the time. I believe that was sort of Ted Bundy's mindset, and I pick up on it. I have talked about studies I have participated on in the past. Which would sidetrack much too much, but you guys know my website. And some of you know about sociopathy and related stuff. And it also deals with the Rh negative blood factor, but a scientific approach, not about many of the lies and the nonsense that's being claimed on the internet, but actually health differences based on the Rh factor, which also includes mental health aspects. And I've stated before why I believe this applies so much to Katie Proudfoot and did to Ted Bundy and so on and so on. So I know that a few of you have expressed interest in that. And I will post my website link again. So the sociopathy aspect is one where the rules completely change, and sociopaths are able to lie so well. They can convince themselves of a false reality, and in the case of people like Katie Proudfoot, also make it easy to fabricate a false reality very easily. Storytelling becomes easy, and basically living a false reality. And I have no, I was not surprised that she passed the polygraph at all. And she was even able to coach her stupid husband to pass it as well. Apparently, which of course I'm not sure, but I'm considering this as a possibility because Chris Proudfoot was so proud of telling everybody it's an open book cheat test. Well, guess what, Chris? If I administered it, you would have not been able to pass. I would have asked you the right question twice in different ways, based on the language that you use. Because I know your pattern. You would not pass a polygraph if it was me able to state the questions. If I was a part of the examination and the examiner would ask you my two questions, you would never be able to pass. And even Katie Proudfoot, I would come up with the right questions to at least get some sort of reaction. And most likely, the results, in my opinion, would be inconclusive because of her ability to pass and to lie to herself and fabric. But you need something that will shake things up. You need to have the right mirror to put in front of their faces, because that is the one thing that the sociopath is trying to avoid. They're trying to avoid revisiting their past and their true feelings, which often get masked by the crimes that they commit later in life. And yes, most sociopaths do not commit major crimes. Sociopathy is a lot more frequent than people may expect, and I have met many of them. And it wasn't until just a couple of years ago that I realized just what exactly it is that I've been picking up on for a very long time in certain people, the common denominator.
Temporarily. Headlines picked up the claim. Social media users debated the implications. Some believed him, others weren't so sure, but one thing became
We don't want to believe or disbelieve. Blind belief or disbelief is equally detrimental. He didn't tell us that he passed the polygraph. Let's make this very clear. Don't put words into people's mouths. Don't interpret things for him. Did he tell us he passed the polygraph? No, he didn't. He made it sound like he might have. And more than anything else, he's worried only about one thing, about things going in his favor. There's no concern for the children, what they're going through. Zero. They're either in a very safe place or they're dead. These are the options that his statements present to me, because there is no anything. You would think that even if he wasn't having the greatest relationship with them, that these are kids, having lived with him for 3 years. He knows them. He would think about what they're going through right now. But they are beyond help. They're either all right or they're completely beyond help, because look at him. There is zero urgency. He's trying to introduce language of urgency, but it is in stark contrast to his relaxed and refreshed demeanor.
clear. For Daniel Martell, perception mattered, and controlling the narrative seemed just as important as finding
Finding the children, yeah. And one may say, why would he not why would he say something that isn't true? Because it'll come out eventually anyways. Well, a lot of people, they do that. They buy themselves some time. They say maybe something will happen that will sidetrack everybody. Maybe people will start, somebody will come to help me with something. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. He probably doesn't lawyer up because he is so extremely fearful of being looked at as a guilty person, which, by the way, is terrible. I always tell people, lawyer up. Lawyer up. It doesn't matter what it is. Lawyer up. Because sometimes you may have a crappy so-called, and they are there. There are people who are, their working title is analyst, statement analyst, or there are many different titles that they give these people when they work for police. There are many who want also a quick fix, and they're not good at what they do. They have passed an exam as a statement analyst. They're qualified now to work under such title. But in reality, they remember very little and they barely passed, and they don't really have that much of an interest. They just wanted a pay raise. So sometimes, just like over anxious police officers in the interrogation room, they want to get some quick results and they make crap up. So you never know. And you want to protect yourself from incompetence, over anxious incompetence in police investigations. So having a lawyer, I would not care if some people think that makes me look guilty. I need to protect myself. Period. But I think that for Daniel, this would just be an extra negative magnet for negative comments that he can simply not handle. People saying, oh, he lawyered up. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think that's something he cannot handle, and he doesn't understand that even though he thinks he's doing all right, and he keeps trying to push you. Look, it's an abduction, right? They have to clear this. He's trying to interpret for us why police is, I mean, it is really, really so blatant. Somebody said, wonder if they were dropped into what is the Fundy Basin? Highest tides in the world, just a short distance. Really? This is Sandra. Listen to this comment. Wonder if, and this is, by the way, you can read the comment under that my last video, Daniel Mattel, fighting for the rest of my life to find these kids. Sandra said, and I can, Sandra, what, Chisholm? You said, wonder if they were dropped into the Fundy Basin. Highest tides in the world, just a short distance away. I be damned, they'd never be found. I have never heard of them. But I will make sure, I will take my chance on this one and tell you, the surf. Remember what Mrs. Brooks Murray talked about? Now let me listen to Mrs. Brooks Murray's statement one more time and see if you can catch it along with me. Malaya Brooks Murray. Come on, give me a statement. God, there's so much garbage out there, people. People who have nothing to say and oh my God. So, let's hear it. One moment, please. I will get to it in a second, guys. Oh yeah, here we go. Listen to this. Listen to this. And remember what I've been stuck on? Remember this part of her interview.
They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now.
The huge search. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now. From the very beginning, I said, there's a water reference you don't forget. Does she appreciate the huge surf taking these children out there? And I haven't heard about this and why you think they will never be found, which I am not doubting. I'm not confirming or doubting, by the way. I will take this, and this is the type of tip that I love. This is the type of information that I need. Let me go back there and make sure I don't. The warden is the elected head of the county. He has a group of. Gotcha. I actually. I already. Sandra Chisholm, yeah. We're talking about the Fundy Basin in Nova Scotia, right? Let me look this up. I be damned. I be damned. Now let me do something else here because we don't want to overlook that. Here we go. What is the Fundy Basin? The Fundy Basin is a sediment-filled rift basin on the Atlantic coast of southeastern Canada. It contains 3 subbasins: the Fundy Subbasin, the Minas Basin, and the Chignecto Basin. These arms meet at the Bay of Fundy, which is contained within the Rift Valley. From the Bay of Fundy, the Minas Basin trends northeast to Nova Scotia. Chignecto Bay runs from the Bay of Fundy northwest between New Brunswick. Remember the New Brunswick border? And Nova Scotia, which is separated from the waters of the Northumberland Strait by the Isthmus of Chignecto. The Fundy Basin is best known for the bay it contains. Okay. Huge tidal changes. See what we got here. Anything else? Let's look at the Minas Basin right here. Lansdowne Station. Here's Truro. That's a 45-minute ride. Anybody of you connected to law enforcement, to RCMP, send them this video with this specific timestamp and ask them, is it possible for them to search the basin? Surf. Did you hear that? Did you hear what exactly she said?
I want to hold them.
So the one good thing about Maria Brooks Murray's interview is that it's easy to find because it's the only interview she gave. And this is something that I want you to listen to right now. Why this just stood. And by the way, synchronicity is my religion. Synchronicity is when everything kind of comes together. And I love it when the unexpected happens. And Sandra Chisholm, I think you're onto something. And if anybody's connected to law enforcement, please tell them, for what it's worth, explain to them, which I'm trying to do better right now, again and again, for those who may be brand new to this channel and say, listen, okay, listen up with me.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet. And we get up, and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him...
It's very hard, by the way, to listen to this without... I mean, there were about 25 red flags already, right? Of course, when I first analyze, I get to the biggest ones, or the ones that hit me, or the ones that are most significant, and skip over the others. But as time goes by, I recognize more and more. And oh my God, this has more red flags than a Chinese military parade. But I will not rehash it now. And it's tiring to rehash it. So I hope that you guys will watch my last videos. Unless, of course, this is now so significant that we can skip it. Because once we get to the right, I'm thinking about Scott Peterson immediately, right? I'm thinking about him and where he dumped Lacey and Connor. Wonder if they were dropped into the Fundy Basin, highest tides in the world. Highest tides, just a short distance away. They'd never be found. Explain to me why they would never be found. I'm not doubting you. I just want to, probably in my next video, I want to highlight that. I want to talk about your comment again and again and again until these kids are found. And now, you see, I have flagged the surf comment. And many times in statement analysis, you don't look for validation elsewhere. You say, there is something very sensitive right here. I don't know what it is. And as time goes by, it'll make itself clearer.
Do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store.
So I can't help but rehash it one more time. I believe that shortly after 6 a.m., Daniel Martel came back shortly after sunrise. And it wasn't until 8 a.m. they were looking into the future. Okay, we're going to say that around 8 a.m. or a little bit after that, the kids disappeared. So they haven't disappeared yet. That's why she uses future tense, because the experiential memory is not about her children right now. It is about the conversation she had with Daniel. I tell my partner, I tell him, not I ask him, do you hear the kids? I tell him, because she is a script writer. And she remembers telling him, we're going to say this, we're going to say that. You're an idiot, I'm halfway smart. And so we're going to, and he probably said, okay. And he probably knows that Malaya maybe has a personality that when she actually talks and she demands something, she doesn't just shy away from it. He seems a lot more flexible, more talkative, but she seems like somebody who is careful with her words. And once she makes a decision, it's harder for her to abandon that decision. They will speak to anyone in the store because at the time they haven't supposedly disappeared yet. That's going to happen after 8. So we're going to tell them, that in about an hour and a half or 2 hours, they're going to disappear. And then they will talk to anyone in the store. That's why she's using future tense right here. But let's move on. Watch my last video if you want to know more.
Or everyone, they're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort.
I appreciate the huge surf. People, this is exactly what I have been hung up on from the very beginning. And this slip was no coincidence. Now that I'm learning this about the Fundy Basin and that other, what's the name of the other basin? I believe if you say these are the highest tides in the world and the kids will never be found, wow, that's very possible. That's very possible. And I do believe this is coming full circle. So whatever pipe they're searching right now, I'm not sure that's going to do anything, people. If you're connected to anybody in law enforcement, and I'm sure they have their own they have access to a forensic linguist. I'm sure that they do. But give me some credit if this is helpful. It won't hurt you to say, thank you, Mike the man, for giving us the tip. Okay, let's move on.
Going on right now.
And Sandra Chisholm, more than anything.
But we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. Not just that they could possibly be abducted, which
Not just that they couldn't. She's telling us they didn't get abducted. It's not possible. But then she says,
it is a possibility that they could
because she wants to plant the seed.
have been. But just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware someone else let them know that they were missing, and it would just be nice if everyone...
She's looking at somebody or something, which also is really strange to me because you're supposed to only look, she's looking like for reassurance from somebody, which is often the case when people give interviews. But you know what, people? Let's stop right here. The Minas Basin. I will stop right here.